Losing a loved one is hard. The human emotions are challenged whenever someone close has passed away. This is what comes to mind when reading the two poems, Funeral Blues and Midterm Break. In a close analysis of the two poems, it is evident that the connected theme between these two poems are lost. The points of comparison in these poems that explain the theme between the two are not hard to find within seconds of reading them. In both poems, the reader is forced to think that someone close has passed away. Depending on the poems you read, they may make you feel a certain way. But these two poems, Funeral Blues and Midterm Break, makes the audience feel sad or may recall sad thoughts and memories. In comparison between the two, both these poems come from someone's point of view who has lost a loved one, but the difference between the two is that Midterm Break is about a boy's mother losing his baby sibling in birth, but Funeral Blues is about a woman who loses her lover and there is some kind of public memorial for her husband/lover. So the reader is made to believe that he was well known, perhaps in the army, and was killed in battle. Although depending on the poems you read, they may make you feel a certain emotion, or two different poems can make you feel the same emotion. The two poems are similar in terms of how they make the reader feel, but very different with the timeline it was written in. Midterm Break is more of a modern poem placed in the modern era, in a modern school to a modern household. But Funeral Blues is a poem that is placed in 1918 or 1950s. This is discovered because in one of the poem's lines there is talk of a message in the air. Planes weren't invented until 1903, so the poem has to be placed in the 1918 or 1950 Korean War where planes were accessible. Let airplanes circle moaning overhead, scribbling on the sky the message, "He is dead." The poem's Midterm Break poem couldn't have been in the same time as Funeral Blues because the poem Midterm Break, the little boy speaks of an ambulance coming to aid his baby sibling. The ambulance did have ambulance patrols in the 1920s, but they were for private use only. It wasn't until the 1930s the ambulance became public and decided to work with the police force. These two poems are similar in how they make you feel, but are made in different terms and have different storylines. What makes these two poems similar and effective is the poet's choice to not name the deceased people. Instead, they are hinted or explained to be close to the narrator. Scribbling on the sky the message, "He is dead," Funeral Blues. Wearing a poppy bruise on his left temple, he lay in a 4-foot box, as in his cot. No gaudy scars. The bumper knocked him clear. A 4-foot box, a foot for every year. Midterm Break. Not naming the dead characters are a good way to make the reader feel sympathy for the poet's victims. The reader not knowing who the deceased person is helps them focus more on the narrator's emotions and how they are handling it. The poet's choice to not name the deceased is an effective technique to make the audience feel sympathy for the narrator of the poem. The human emotions are challenged when losing a loved one. In each poem, the audience is made to feel sympathy for the victim, feeling sad for their loved one or who have passed away. The writers do this on purpose as a technique because the audience isn't focusing on the deceased character, but instead focus on the characters who have been affected by the passing of their loved ones. Each of these poems were written in different timelines, but are very similar in how they make the reader feel.